All rise, please. Will the Tennessee delegation please escort Dr. Kraus to the podium for installation?
Wish that I was on old Rocky Top down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoggy smoke on Rocky Top, ain't no telephone bills. Once I had a girl on Rocky Top, half bear, the other half cat. Wild as a mink, but sweet as soda pop, I still dream about that. Rocky Top, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Once two strangers climbed old Rocky Top looking for a moonshine still. Strangers ain't come down from Rocky Top, reckon they never will. Corn won't grow at all on Rocky Top, dirt's too rocky by far. That's why all the folks on Rocky Top get their corn from a jar. Rocky Top, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. I've had years of cramped up city life, trapped like a duck in a pen. All I know is it's a pity life can't be simple again. Rocky Top, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Dr. Speaker, for just a moment of privilege.
Granted.
As a profession, we've worked for many, many years for respect, and we've fought together, all of us in this room. And some of the great things about the leaders of this profession is visionary, resilience, right? And it's all about, what's the last R, Ira? Relationships. And the kind that we have are enduring, it lasts forever. And as a past President's Association, thank you for asking me to do this. It makes me extremely proud to be your installation officer.
Proud to have you here.
You ready to do it, dude?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Dr. Ferrito, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to present to you and to the assembled guests Dr. Ira Kraus, who has been elected president of the American Podiatric Medical Association. It's just starting. Good luck with your speech.
Yeah.
Dr. Kraus, you have been elected by your colleagues to the highest office in this profession. Your duties will be many and varied, and we trust that you will perform them to the best of your ability. I will now administer the oath of office. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ira Kraus,
I, Ira Kraus,
in the presence of these witnesses here assembled,
in the presence of these witnesses here assembled,
do solemnly promise
do solemnly promise
to faithfully serve the American Podiatric Medical Association
the American Podiatric Medical Association
as president to the best of my ability.
as president to the best of my ability.
I further promise
I further promise
that I will be fair and impartial in my dealings
that I will be fair and impartial in my dealings
and will uphold the bylaws of the American Podiatric Medical Association.
and will uphold the bylaws of the American Podiatric Medical Association.
It gives me a great deal of pleasure to present you with this gavel of authority. I admonish you to wield it with courtesy, impartiality, and fairness, leading those who follow you gladly because you prove your willingness to listen to counsel as well as to give it. Dr. President?
Thank you. Good luck getting your seat.
Wow. Mom, did you ever think a Brooklyn boy would move to Tennessee and stay there forever? I didn't think so.
Someone who rode the subway all the time into Manhattan, I never could.
That's right. Thank you, Dr. Speaker. Officers and members of the Board of Trustees, delegates, distinguished past presidents, students, APMA staff, invited guests, friends, and family. I'll save the personal thanks for the end of this speech, as by then I should be pretty emotional. I am honored to have been elected to serve as the 91st president of our American Podiatric Medical Association. My time on the board has not been completely smooth, but I feel that having taken this path has made me a better person. I think that it is important to know a little bit about the person who will be leading your organization for the next year. I am a family man who puts his family and friends first. I am loyal to a fault. My father taught me that I did not have to answer to anyone but myself, and that when I look in the mirror each night, I should be able to smile at the decisions I made, knowing that I did the right thing. My parents taught me the value of leadership and involvement. I grew up knowing that there were leaders and followers, and that I would have to make a choice. I think it is obvious what decision I made. As you may have read in my APMA News interview, I would like to focus my presidency on building relationships. I am a relationship guy. I believe there's a big difference between an open line of communication and a relationship. In a relationship, you can make the ask. I assure you that I will be making the ask as often as I can to better this profession. I have been known to be a little bit like a bull in a china shop. But rest assured, I am your bull. I don't care how many dishes I break on our path to parity. I will never stay silent in the face of discrimination against our members. I will always be outspoken. I will always be outspoken until we are defined as physicians in every aspect of the law. And I will always speak my mind until parity with our allopathic and osteopathic colleagues has been achieved. Every year, we hear about the issues and concerns of our members. And every year, APMA rises to the challenge. I would love to say that we have resolved every issue that affects our profession, but we still have work to do. Let's start off with the simple things. Our governance and management review. Unfortunately, I believe that this initiative was born out of a level of distrust between the House and the board. This process has somewhat mirrored my own journey. There have been bumps on the road, but we have emerged better and stronger than we were before. when the Governance and Management Review demonstrated is that APMA is a strong organization. We have a good, solid leadership and made sound financial decisions. This result has engendered what I believe is an improved relationship between the House of Delegates and the Board of Trustees. Based on the recommendations from the Government and Management Review, Dr. Davis's appointed task force have made some suggestions for change that will need to be referred to our Bylaws and Procedures Committee. These decisions will shape our future as an organization. I have added 3 additional members from the House of Delegates to serve as advisors on the Bylaws Committee to ensure that we weigh these decisions with all due consideration. Following last year's House of Delegates meeting, it was obviously that we needed to come together as a profession to address career awareness, student recruitment, and membership retention. These are significant undertakings that will not be resolved overnight. APMA hosted 2 meetings in June, a membership forum and a student recruitment forum. Although we are far from done, we have developed strategic plans for both efforts, and APMA spends $250,000 a year on career awareness efforts alone. Let me underscore that the success of both initiatives depends on you, our members. I have had the pleasure of being a mentor for 8 students who have matriculated in podiatric medical school. I currently have 2 in their 3rd year of residency, and 1 is a 3rd-year podiatry medical school student. You too can make a difference for prospective student and for your profession. I will take advantage of my relationships with each of you now to make my first ask as your president. Contact Mandy now at the American Association on Colleges of Podiatric Medicine. She's right here in the lobby to become a part of the mentor network. We can't do this without you. Thank you, sir. The same goes for membership. Share the value of membership in your component society and APMA. Talk to non-members and convey to them the value of their voices in the most influential organization representing their profession. We'll even reward you for being a part of this effort. Visit www.apma.org/grow or talk to one of our staff members in the lobby if you haven't yet become a part of our member recruitment campaign. Membership retention is just as important as recruitment. I want to focus on how we demonstrate our relevance as a membership organization. I would like us to develop a task force of members from different practice settings to examine better ways of appealing to members or non-members who may not feel they need what APMA has to offer. There is not a practicing podiatric physician who does not benefit from what APMA has to offer. As you heard from Dr. Davis and Dr. Christina, APMA is developing a qualified clinical data registry. This registry will be one of the greatest and most relevant member benefits APMA has created in years. As the payment models continue to evolve, the data amassed in our registry will help APMA to reinforce the value of podiatric physicians in the healthcare system. On the legislative front, we are shifting gears. In the past, our legislative goal was specific and direct: pass Medicaid reform to recognize DPMs as physicians under the program. Although we are not abandoning this goal, we are changing the strategy from a head-on approach to one that focuses on shoring up some of the outlying discrepancies in federal statutes with respect to how we are defined. Specifically, we will focus on attaining legislative victories that will build momentum toward our ultimate goal. For example, the VA. We started in 2015 by working with Representative Brad Winstrup, the first and currently only podiatrist in Congress, to introduce legislation to reform the treatment of DPMs working for the Veterans Health Administration. Although the legislation didn't pass the previous session of Congress, we have reintroduced the legislation and have a very high level of confidence in its passage this term. We will also be working to change the status of podiatrists serving in our nation's military, from enlistment in the Medical Service Corps to the Medical Corps. We will tackle the treatment of podiatrists who want to work for the National Health Service Corps and the Indian Health Services. Each of these represent a very small segment of the healthcare delivery system in the United States, but collectively, they are the last vestiges of federal discrimination against podiatric physicians and surgeons. Once these programs are reformed, the task of changing the Medicaid system will all be all but inevitable. As you have heard, we've enlisted the formidable support of Squire Patton Boggs to achieve these goals. We continue to listen to our members who demand that APMA make legislative parity a priority. During our last APMA board meeting, I made an impromptu visit to Congressman Winstrup's office. He immediately came out to visit with me. For those of you who have not had the pleasure to meet him, he is very congenial, cool under fire, and always looks relaxed. I saw a side of him that got me very excited. He shared with me a conversation that he had with a representative from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons. For those of you who may not be aware, AAOS has been actively lobbying against our VA Provider Equity Act, especially in the wake of Representative Winstrup's appointment as the chair of the Veterans Affairs Subcommittee on Health. Representative Winstrup relayed to the AAOS representative that he did not have a problem with AAOS objecting to our legislation. However, he emphasized that its objections must be grounded in fact. Representative Winstrup went on to say that if AAOS does not clarify the misinformation it has been circulating regarding podiatrists' education and training, Representative Winstrup would call AAOS to testify before his committee. I felt invigorated and proud to be a part of APMA. Our work on the VA Provider Equity Act is just one example of how APMA is working for its members. Understand, APMA and the APMA PAC cannot do this alone. I know that year after year, you hear multiple pleas for help. We cannot do this alone. We need your dollars, and we need your time. We need you to reach out to your legislator. So my second ask as your president is to pick up the phone and call. Pick up a pen and write a letter, or more importantly, a check. As you have all heard, part of my presidency is about relationships and making the ask. So anyone that has a personal relationship with a legislator, let APMA know, but do not be afraid to make the ask so that we can better our profession. APMA is a member service organization here to advocate, to make the ask for podiatrists. We are a small profession, but when we work together as one, APMA, together as one is the key. When we work together toward our common goals, we achieve great outcomes. Here are but a few. APMA ensured we were included in the Meaningful Use Incentive when we were initially excluded. This incentive offered our members a potential value of $44,000 in incentive payments. APMA prepared its members for ICD-10 with webinars, lectures, and the APMA Coding Resource Center. And we're preparing our members for MACRA and MIPS with the same level of education and resources. APMA protected podiatrists from an accreditation fee for dispensing DME. That's a value of $3,000. The APMA Educational Foundation awarded student scholarships to 228 students last year, amounting to more than $230,000 in support for the future leaders of our profession. The Center for Professional Advocacy continues to assist local and state advocacy issues. My beloved home state is leading the way on the legislative initiative many states are undertaking Tennessee worked with APMA to achieve DPM supervision of physician's assistants this year. In the wake of our success, Tennessee's lobbyist has been assisting APMA by providing counsel to other states in their own efforts. Together is the key. Utah is one of the states seeking supervision of PAs, and I hope many of you will participate in the APMA State Advocacy Forum later this spring in Salt Lake City, where I'm sure PA supervision will be discussed. APMA generated more than 1.5 billion, I'll say that again, 1.5 billion media impressions in 2016. We continue to cultivate young physician leaders, and last year held our largest Young Physicians Institute to date. We host the must-attend annual scientific meeting for every podiatrist, the most comprehensive meeting in the profession. I hope you will all join me in my home state this year. The meeting is July 27th to July 30th in Nashville, and if you haven't already registered, you can do so in the lobby at www.apma.com/thenational. We're tackling a new proposed rule that could affect our members' ability to furnish and fabricate orthotics and prosthetics. We've had great cooperation on this from our state components, affiliates, and hundreds of members. Remember, together is the key. We cannot do it alone. As I said, the list can go on. I would be remiss if I did not recognize our staff. None of these achievements would be possible without them. As you know, not long ago, we went through a pivotal change in our association. Our executive director of 17 years retired, and we hired Dr. Jim Christina, and we have not skipped a beat. We have made some other changes, the addition of Dr. Diane Towers, and the promotion of Ben Wallner and Kathy Balderson. APMA would not be where it is today without the dedication of the men and women who work at APMA headquarters. They are the people who selflessly and tirelessly behind the scenes and have just as much passion as we do, and sometimes more than some of the podiatrists I have encountered. So anytime you run into an APMA staff person, please thank them for all they do to make our profession better. I'd like to take a point of personal privilege and ask the staff to stand, and I would like all of you to stand for our staff that makes us better. There have been many people in this profession who have made an impact on me along the way. You know who you are. I don't have to tell you. For your friendship and guidance, I am eternally grateful. I told you early on that I am a family man who believes in developing relationships. Next to me on my right is one of the reasons I am who I am today. My mother, Bunny. Who at times drives me crazy, but without whom I would not have found podiatric medicine as a career. So I guess you all have her to thank. The other is my father, David, my idol. I would like to share a quick story about my father. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2005. My mother, my brother, and I promised that we would keep him home until we could no longer care for him. On Thursday evening, October 5th, 2006, we decided it was time. His health had progressively worsened. I was supposed to fly back to Tennessee Friday morning as I was scheduled to give a series of lectures. Needless to say, I did not want to go. In those last few hours, he had moments of lucidity. And when I discussed with him that I did not want to leave him, he reminded me that I was an elected officer and that I had responsibilities and commitments. Tennessee was where he wanted me to be. Sadly, a few hours after landing in Tennessee, I received a call from my brother that my father had passed peacefully. Instead of regretting that I was not at his side, I knew that I was where he wanted me to be. That is how my mother and father raised me. My brother Mark and my sister-in-law Anna, they're the smart ones. The joke in our family is that if Ira had Mark's study habits or Mark had Ira's photographic memory, there would be a Nobel Peace Prize in the Kraus family. Hannah and Sasha are my pride and joy. Where are you guys? I am looking forward to watching my nieces grow into young women. I am blessed to have my whole family here. All my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, they've all come to share in this joyous event. They really had no choice, as I am single with no children and I attended all their weddings and bar and bat mitzvahs. It was the least they could do. I also have some very dear friends with whom I have developed significant relationships over the years. I have been told that behind every man is a better woman. Well, I have 5 better women. Holly, Heather, who has been by my side for 15 years, Ashley, where are you guys hiding? Siobhan, and Michelle, whose tolerance of my crazy schedule changes have helped me get this far. I also have had amazing partners who understand how important APMA is to me. In fact, one of my partners, Aaron Solomon, is on the ASPS board. I have some of my childhood friends here, Danny, Jack, and Joe. They know where the skeletons really are buried. In podiatry school, I made many friends, but I would not have made it without my cohorts and study partners, Dr. Nick D'Angelo and Dr. William Spielvogel. I cannot tell you how important it was to have the support of my state association, particularly Dr. Barry Schulman, Dr. Gary Cockrell, and Dr. Jeff Loveland, and my executive director, Gary Odom. Lastly, as many of you know, I have had a recent change in my professional career and have been given the opportunity to utilize skills that I have acquired over the years in a different way. I want to thank my new colleagues, Drs. David Helfman and Mitch Hilson, and Mr. John Minahan, for understanding how important the APMA presidency is to me, and more importantly, to our profession. My only regret today is that my father and my grandparents are not here to share this day. Whenever I started something new, my grandma Anna would call me and say, "Good luck, good luck, good luck, right foot forward." That is how I am going to start my year as APMA president, right foot forward. I am truly a blessed man. I have been given the opportunity to serve and give back to the profession I love. I thank you for that opportunity, and I look forward to developing even stronger relationships with all of you as we work together to achieve podiatry's goals. Remember, together is the key. Thank you very much.